Hey guys, Czar here. Hope all is well. Trust you're having a good day so far. We are about 30 seconds away from the open on New York here on Wednesday, Hump Day, July 17th, 2024. We've had a big sell-off here in the pre-market and the Asian and London session. You see that here? That, of course, is the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow. All three of them. And now waiting for this New York session to open, and I will be very patient here on the open. Wait for some structure to form. We are in a bull market and we've had this big sell-off. Let me show you the daily chart so you can really see this. This is the NASDAQ here on the left-hand side, having broken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, seeking to break 10-day lows here on the NASDAQ. This is the daily chart, right? Those blue lines are last week's range. We are now trading below the low of last week's range. We're in the middle of last week's range for the S&P, and we're at the upper end of last week's range. I should say we are way above last week's range, which is down here on the Dow. We're at the upper end of yesterday's giant gladiator candle on the Dow. So a very different picture. We have a divergent picture here between the NASDAQ and the Dow. So I'm going to put you on pause, guys. We're going to wait for some things to settle in here. There's the Dow rallying again, but still inside of the 1-minute open range. This 1-minute candle is now closed. Here's the second 1-minute candle just beginning. Very narrow range here, guys, on the NASDAQ for that opening candle. 21 points for the NASDAQ. The S&P's narrowed too at 5.5 points. It was 2.5 points, I believe, yesterday. So super narrow ranges despite the big moves here coming into the open of New York. I'll put you on pause and I'll bring you back. Very lackluster open here, guys. Nothing for me to do. Rallying on the Dow, sitting flat on the S&P and NASDAQ with a slight bearish bias on the NASDAQ, slight bullish bias on the S&P. So nothing to do. Dropping down now below on the NASDAQ, but rallying strongly on the Dow. I'm going to ignore the Dow for the most part here today, guys. And rallying on the S&P. Let me zoom in. I'm going to ignore the vwap configuration for now so we can really watch the interaction on the open range in particular. That's only one of the pieces for me, by the way, guys. Just because we get a break of the open range doesn't mean anything to me by itself. It's the big picture. It's the whole picture is what I'm always looking at here. So I'm very lackluster on my vehicle of choice, which is the NASDAQ. I'm really trading all three of these, but using the NASDAQ for execution, if that makes sense. Take you back to these zones. You can see this particular zone. Got all this clean traffic through here. It's got some room to move. This zone here goes back to July 3rd. And again, today is the 17th of July. Big, important zone here, given how it rocketed prices higher and set off a rallying bullish move for several days. Back into range, rallying a little bit now on all three, sort of. And just to be clear, guys, I'm not jumping on this just because these are three are now aligned for a candle or two. That's not going to do it for me in this very bearish picture. You see, even these EMAs here on the NASDAQ are still bearish configured, right? 9 below 21 and so on. Higher time frame momentum is down, right? Down, down, not up. And it's significant. It doesn't mean I won't take a long here. I absolutely would if prices say going up. Right now, they're not saying that to me. There was a candle that said I went up. I can see this being a point here where some traders would have jumped in because they saw alignment and thought, okay, here's my chance. Remembering or forgetting that we are trading here below VWAP, and I only give VWAP so much room here in the early phase of New York, but it certainly counts below EMAs and in this very bearish picture. Still watching here, guys. All right. Sell stop order, guys. We're right here, right below that wick. A little tiny white wick. Stop above. Here we go. And I'm in, guys. I'm in. I'm going to fix this marker in a moment. Give me just a moment or two here at my own platform. Looking for 1R here, guys. Looking for the most certain move. And I'll put you on pause and we'll play the waiting game. All right, guys, we have driven down below to about 3/4 of the way to my target. I'm moving my stop to break even to lock in a short no lose. We can see if we can get this thing or not. This is a trend continuation trade, guys. Obviously a momentum play, very bearish daily, bearish 30-minute, bearish 1 minute, negative moving average configuration all the way through. A little tug of war on the open here, ignoring all the noise here on the open, and then taking the significant break on this shift down following this gladiator candle that could not follow through. And there it is, guys. Just hit target on my platform, and you can see barely on this one. Let's just wait until it happens, and then I'll wish you a great day. There it is, folks. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have an amazing afternoon. We'll talk soon.